Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium for the 27th of May 2020. Today we're just going to run through a bunch of pairs, and in order to do this I'm going to use the histogram. What I've done here is I've just run it through, so now it's scanning everything on time frames between the monthly and the 15-minute chart. So let's start at one end here and see what we have. So first of all, let's start with a smaller time frame. So let's go to the 15-minute chart, the pound CAD. Where do we have the pound CAD? The pound CAD is here. So this is accumulation. So this is going to be low on the 15-minute chart and looking to move higher. So if we move this away from the chart so I can see. So first of all, we need to see where we are relative to everything else. And you can see here that we're actually visiting these lows. So if we have a look back historically, we want to see where we are relative to some of these bigger swings. You can see that we are actually nested in kind of the lower edge of this buy zone. So we have the candle to the left, the green one here, the low of it is here, so it goes down to about here, and notice that this area has been removed. Okay, so the next area below it is this one here. So this one's gone, so we're going to move it down to here. We're going to go from the low of the candle to the left to here, so there to here. So this is what we have here, and we're getting close to that area, but we are currently poking into the upper edge of this area here, so it's kind of like a micro buy zone. We have downward sloping market structure, and we have just price kind of wriggling down quite nicely. Okay, you can see here as well on this time frame that we do have, prices moving lower, the currency strength, histogram moving higher. So this is telling us that the strength of the British pound relative to the Canadian dollar across the boards is picking up. Okay, so that's telling us that this selling is maybe not something that we'd want to do for too much longer. So if you go on the 15-minute chart, which is the one where this signal was sent to us, you can see that we're all the way down here. If we zoom out quite a lot so we can get a little bit more data on the chart, you can see the last time this happened, last time we reached this area. Actually, I want to use the rectangle because then I don't get crooked bits. So we go from here to here. Can't see what's over here, but last time we had a nice bounce there. Whoa, we got a nice bounce just here, and now we're here. So what do? Well, we can expect that price will maybe have a shorter term bounce. The thing I like about this is that we have a liquidity void above price just here, and so I would like for price to come back up here and to continue to sell. So maybe we'll have a bit of a bounce from this area here. This is a 15-minute chart, and I don't spend a lot of time on that, but for you guys who do, this is the situation. So we could maybe have a push. We have the sell zone, which starts around there, and then we have some resistance, and then we have supply just here. So we could see a small, shorter term bounce higher like that. Would I take this trade? No, I wouldn't. Why? Because the time frame is too small and insignificant. I want to focus on the major flows. But intraday, short-term stuff, you could certainly have a go if that's your thing. Let's have a look at the Euro Canadian dollar. So Euro CAD. So because this is also accumulation, you could probably, it would lead one to believe that the Canadian dollar is picking up in strength. Okay, so let's have a look at the EuroCAD. EuroCAD, where are you? Euro Kiwi, Euro Singapore, use a Franc. It's up here somewhere. Here. So if we have a look here, we're looking quite similar. Wow, we're really in this this low territory. And notice here that we are approaching some levels that we've visited historically. So if I go like that and I zoom out, and we have this area. Wow, I really like this level just here. It's been tested once. So the beginning of the buy zone would be from the deepest low until then. So at the about the 150.50 area, and we're still about 50 pips from that. So I wouldn't do anything. I'd wait off on this one. I'd wait for price to move back down to this area here. But it's certainly interesting. And above that, we have, so I've got kids at home today. We have this here, which I really like, this whole kind of area. And this is interesting because we had price kind of moving sideways. We kind of tested this area, we tested it, we moved down, we moved sideways, and then price left very quickly. So this would be an interesting area to sell at here. Okay, and I'd feel even more comfortable about selling this because we have this nice liquidity void here. How price just moved away quickly, and so price will normally rebalance, come back relatively quickly before it figures out what it does. And you can see the same thing happening here. When price leaves quickly, it normally comes back quickly. Okay, left quickly, it came back. Left quickly, came back. Okay, and here we have price leaving quickly. We don't know where it's going to go, but then maybe price will come back down and we can follow it lower, shorter time. Okay, but short term, I mean, we're getting some buy signals on the 15-minute chart because we are really low. So we might have a shorter term push higher from here into opposing areas. But I just be careful in these shorter term trades. Okay, let's have a look at something else. We have the half an hour, the EuroCAD on the half an hour. Interesting, so EuroCAD on the half an hour, let's have a look what that looks like. Getting the same thing on the 15-minute and the 30-minute chart. This is pretty low. On the hourly, we're getting pretty close, but we're not quite there, as you can see. Okay, but if we focus where price is relative to these major areas, we still have about 50 pips to go before we get to an area that looks attractive. Okay, so I'd wait a little bit longer before getting involved with that. We have the Euro Australian dollar, and that looks like, let's have a look. This is the 30-minute chart. And we are poking into this, what appears to be a daily demand. We can't really see it on this time frame. Okay, so this is what we have here, sorry. Just back, let's have a look. Where are we? Here we are. We have this daily area. Remove this and scroll over. We're getting close to this. This is daily area. We better have a look at the daily chart so we can see what it is. Yeah, this is a pretty interesting release. Two periods of accumulation. Price left and price left here, and we managed to move above this high. And the origin of the push is here. You can see this is the origin because this is where we had closes above these periods of accumulation. Okay, now price is getting close to that area now. We had a test here, another test here. You see price goes lower, 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 and so we're looking. Now we're advertising cheap prices to see if we can attract some people to start to buy. So we're moving down here. We've got this. Let's see what this looks like on the weekly chart. So we have beginning of, yeah, I mean, look at this. See on the weekly chart, we have price moving up, slingshot pull back, we move sideways for a bit, and then we closed above all of these highs, and the low of that is here. So I'm going to do this. Okay. Then we'll go to the daily and see what that looks like. I think we're pretty close to that area. Yeah. So we're looking pretty close to this, as you can see. Okay. So right there, this is pretty close to the lows of these daily areas, and that would be an interesting spot to get involved because this is where this. If you go to a smaller time frame, you'll probably notice that this is where the slingshot was pulled back to before we left. So price moves higher. No, actually that doesn't. It just drifts higher. And the only interesting push away is this one here. Price kind of moved from here away, and then we have kind of this big area here, which is kind of difficult to put a grip on, as you can see. But we do have kind of we have pushes away from this area here, but this is a lot of like trading in the area, so I'd be more comfortable waiting for a push lower on this time frame. But on the daily chart, we might see some shorter term bounces at where price is getting close to now, which is this about the 163.50 area. This is potentially where we could have some pushes away here. Okay, but also notice that we did have I'm going to go to the 4-hour chart to see this, where we had a lot of tests at these areas. You can see how price tested. We tested again and again, again. We kind of moved down. We sat on it, and then we cut away. Okay, so we had an area here. We had something here. This is demand. It was tested once, twice, 3 times, and now it's gone. And the area that removed it is which one? Well, it's this one here. This is not a super sweet area because it is a little bit messy, but this is where the cutaway came from. Excuse me. So we do have this cutaway here. This really nice area. Price came down. We left, slingshot all the way back, and then we had a huge release. And price retested this. We tested the child. This is the parent, the 4-hour. The daily is this one, and now we're starting to drift lower. Okay, so I'm expecting price. Okay, sorry about that. So now we're feeding into this daily area of demand that we looked at, and having what looks like a little bit of a reaction there. But I'd say there's more likelihood in the flows moving. Let's have a look. Go to the weekly chart. You can see these are moving down pretty aggressively, but notice again that this huge move originates from down here. So we're certainly going to see an increase in people moving into the euro and out of the Australian dollar once price returns to this base here, and we're getting pretty close to that now. Okay, let's have a look at something else. Let's have a look at Australian dollar, Singaporean dollar on the 30-minute chart. Aussie, Singy, Aussie here. So we are distributing, which means that we're running pretty high, and we're informed of this at around here. We were told, well, we're getting pretty deep. You can see around here we're being told that we're moving high. We're starting to push higher and higher and higher. So we need to know what's going on. So technically speaking, we should move lower, but again, this is a small time frame. We need to know what's going on in the flows on the bigger time frame. So we'll go to the daily and have a look. Wow, look at that. You can see that we're moving pretty high up here, and we talked about this actually I talked about this yesterday. This was on the 1-hour chart, and this was in relation to a video about the new histogram. We spoke about this pair on the 1-hour chart, and we're talking about how price was poking up into here, and now you can see that we're actually slowing down. Okay, on the 4-hour chart, we are poking into this weekly area of supply. So let's have a look at that. I mean, look at that. Price has gone up there, moved into the beginning of the sell zone, a little bit short of the sell zone. We've poked up into this area of supply, and now we seem to be, yes, slowing down. So if we go to the 1-hour chart, you can see that we have started to break down. We've certainly seen some rejection, at least at a price point, rather at a histogram point where price is approaching these positive variants. And so we can expect maybe that this is going to move back down, rebalance price, which will bring us back down into this price level here. And then we'll figure out what price does until then. But I think shorter term, we're certainly going to maybe have a little bit of a push higher and then rebalance this just here. Okay, let's have a look on let's find something a little bit, maybe a weekly area. The Swiss franc, Singaporean dollar. We talked about this as well yesterday. So this is bigger. This is weekly. You notice that we're all the way up there. We're getting very, very close to these highs. We had a push through these highs here. Let's mark off where they are. We had a first push here. You know, let me use a line here. Okay, so we had on this one here, this white candle, we had a push up into that 4-hour area. Sorry, 4-hour area, into that line here. You can see rejection. We had another go at rejection. We had another push, rejection, and now price is breaking down. So I think we're probably going to have a push higher, and then we are going to potentially wriggle south from there. And so if we go to the 4-hour and have a look, just to see what my thinking process was here. Yeah, we do have this really nice area here, how price. The reason I think this is interesting is because we had kind of like these price points here. You see how price kind of had a big turnaround here. The price tested. we came up, and then we left. And this is just kind of the beginning of the sell zone. We have this one here, which is tested once, twice, almost 3 times. And so I'm expecting that price moves deeper. So I'm thinking we're going to move beyond that. And the next one that has not been tested is this one here. This is the next sell zone at the 148.90-ish area. And this one here just moves us up to around the big figure. This is essentially where I put the entry to sell. There we are, just at around this area here. So I have to wait and see what happens there, but you can see that we are reapproaching these highs, reassessing these highs. Maybe I'll reposition myself and make my stop bigger at an area where we are really looking high. So if we again use this tool to draw where we are from here all the way along, I mean, what happened last time price reached these levels? So these are important levels. We had this one here, huge push, probably would have been stopped out there. We have another one here. Then we had this one here. From here, see where we went. We have homeschooling going on in the background, as you can hear, very successful. And then we have this one, which is reapproaching these areas. And look where we are, man. We're really high. So I think I'll probably be wise to move my stop a little bit higher. So we have a little bit of flexibility. And this will be interesting because we have some enormous liquidity void here, from here to here, where price would rebalance, collecting swaps on the way down, but you don't want to get stopped out too early. This is a little bit high, so I want to be maybe a little bit further north than that. So that would be an interesting trade. If we get in around that 4-hour area there, then we can follow it back down to either here, or alternatively down to this one here that we can see very clearly on the weekly chart. Okay, but I like this a lot for the reasons that we discussed just a moment ago. So that's interesting. I love this histogram. It really, really makes things a lot easier. Also, you may notice that the supply and demand software looks a little bit different as well. And you'd be right in this assumption that it has changed. And it is simply because that I have started to change the way these levels are being shown. So untested areas have solid edge, tested areas have a dashed edge, and removed areas have a dotted edge. Okay, so we have this one here which has been tested, this one here which has been tested, this one's been tested, this one has been tested. Okay, and so things are looking a little bit different, but I'm coming with a big update to the supply and demand, which is my next project, a big update for that, and then I'm going to go and do the same updates to the core of the GFX, and then we should be good to go. And when I'm done with that, then I go and I'll have a look at the intra-candle software. But one thing I'm looking to do now with the supply and demand is create some alerts, because I'd like to be alerted sometimes when price starts feeding into an interesting area of supply or demand. So this is something that's in the works. Okay, let's have a look at one more before we wrap up for today. The Aussie Swiss franc. Let's see what's going on there. Aussie Swiss franc. So this is a monthly one, and this is monthly accumulation. So we are low and moving higher. Yeah, and you can see, I mean, we have been low. Now we're having we've had huge accumulation. You can't see it on the monthly. You can probably see it here. You can just see, all these white candles here. I mean, this is like enormous accumulation. Our price is doing this, and we're doing this. We're flat, so we're moving down more aggressively than the histogram is showing us. And so we're really, we have really been trying to attract some bullish positions here by advertising these really cheap prices. And look at all of these. I mean, look at all of these white candles here. This is telling us that we are kind of moving higher and moving lower. Oh, not working very well. Got a new mouse yesterday, trying to get used to it. So you can see that we're starting to move in this sideways pattern. We're starting to try and attract these prices. We've broken out. We're trading at new lows, and so we'll have to wait and see what happens. Maybe price will feed into this and move lower and test these lows. But you can see that we are certainly looking to do something on the monthly chart. If you have a look, and you can see here, I mean, we're just moving lower and lower and lower. Okay, so price is really low, really, really low. All right, and so we'll see what happens. We do have some pretty interesting some areas as well that we could look to sell at, but again, you've got to be a little bit careful. I mean, we would expect, you know what, let's have a look at the how much data we've got here. Let's have a look here. Where do we have any? Let me clear all of this off. See if we run out of data here. Here we are. So on the Aussie Franc, we only have 260 periods. So they're only showing us 260 periods, which is not enough. Okay, so not enough. Aussie Franc monthly data, doing my best with only 260 bars. Okay, so we only have 260 bars of historical data. That's not a whole lot. Okay, but we're trying to make sense. We're trying to use this limited data to help us make some decisions. So, but it can be a little bit difficult. But we do have this really nice area up here, which is really far away. But for the time being, I think we can see the price is really being rejected at these lows. So I think we're probably going to wriggle higher from here. And so, I mean, looking for some areas of hourly and 4 hour, preferably 4 hour demand to buy it, I think would be a pretty interesting way forward for this pair. Let me close this again and close this. And so we do have a few areas that we could entertain. We have this one here. We have this one here, which is fresh and untested. Price moved away off this parent. We moved up, and now we have not been back. And so we do have the buy zone starting from around here, just here. And so anything below here is attractive. God, those kids are going absolutely bananas upstairs. My youngest son has his friend visiting, a little Irish boy, and they bring out the best of each other. So my apologies for the background ambience. So we have, I mean, price is getting pretty high here, but we do have some attractive prices. I mean, if you look at this, when you look at something like this, you have to ask yourself, well, where do we have a price sensitive area? And so if we just draw these in, you can see that we had some levels here that were price sensitive. I'll draw it the other way, from here to around here. And now it's gone. I mean, this, we had a test here, close, 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 but this one here is the one the price moved away from. So this is the one that we'd be interested in looking at, and this is just down here. Okay, we do have this one. This is the one that I like. The software found it for us, so we shan't bother. Okay, we'll leave it on there, but this is at the about the 0.60 area. This is just a pretty interesting area, I think, that we could see some bounces from. Alternatively, on the other side of the market, we have this weekly area, which I really like as well. And this is because price has not been back here yet. And this is interesting again because if we zoom out all the way, gee, good lord. Okay, so if we have those kids. So if we have a look from here, where do we go? Okay, sorry. Here a little bit higher. We had here. Let's mark this off. This is where we tested from. Go to the daily chart. Tested, 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 tested. Where did that push come from that moved below that area? And it came from here. It came from this little area here, and we have this really nice little piece starting from here and going up to here. Okay, and also notice that price was here. We sideways, we went down, we couldn't hold, we came back up to this area before we left. So this whole move originated from here, which is this weekly area that I like very much. And so this would be a place that I would think that we'd start to attract some selling. At the beginning of the sell zone is, where are we? Is around here at the child. We have the child here, we have the parent here, and you can see the went down, we went up, went down, we pulled the slingshot back, and then we left. Okay, so from where price is now until where we have, let me try and remove this blue rectangle. Here from where we are currently, move this down. It's an interesting area. You know, support becomes resistance. This is at the 64.40 area, from here to about the 66 ish area, I think we're going to start to see some displays of sellers getting into the market. But I prefer this at the top here, because this is where we had that bounce from, and the origin of the move that traded below that is just up here at the 66.15. So I'd be keen on selling from there and not before. Okay, so I would certainly wait for that. Good. Well, I'm gonna leave it at that. I apologize that I haven't had any videos out these past few days, but I've been really busy with the updates, and I've been super busy with homeschooling as well. Trying to get my 6-year-old to read has turned out to be a bit of a challenge, so we've had to use some good old-fashioned discipline to get things done, and that seems to be working quite well. So I'm pleased about that. All right, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please post them in the video or in the Discord channel. See you.